All right. Hey, hey. Welcome back. All right, Capricorns. Let's jump on in. We'll see what we've got. We are starting out with the Six of Swords. It is in the reverse. And we've got the Eight of Swords. It is kind of in a funky angle here. I have to cover this card because she's not got clothing on. But we got this big old cobra coming up behind this woman who's kind of like tangled up in ropes here and stuck, obviously, really stuck, because that Six of Swords in the reverse says we may be dealing with a feminine who just hasn't been able to let go of something, hasn't been able to release something. Doesn't have to be a feminine, but that's just the way it begins. So we'll go ahead and roll with what we see on the cards. I want this deck and this one. Sorry, I get very particular. All right. Well, the angels are here to help. So let's say if this were Capricorn, for example, who was still feeling really, really stuck, I will say the stuck energy has something to do with like a sensual aspect. Like maybe Capricorn was saying like, whoa, was I not enough? Was I not sexy enough? Was I not enough of a turn on? Like why would somebody not have wanted to be with me? And I think that's totally the wrong question to ask. And the divine is coming in and like reassuring Capricorn, like definitely, darling, like this is that you are not attractive enough. There's not anything that is not enough. If anything, unbeknownst to Capricorn right now, this person might have, look, they're over here having a conversation with a squirrel. So I don't know if their brain got scrambled. We also have like a whale coming down from the sky. I don't know what the situation was. He's got kind of a funny little corset on also. Um, I guess we could say that it's kind of like he's almost dressed as like a bard, like from like Robin Hood's time, perhaps. But we have a person in deep regret. This could be a water sign, doesn't have to be. It's interesting because if Capricorn is like, this ended really confusingly, I feel I'm still stuck on it. I don't really understand what happened. I'm having a hard time getting over it. There's like maybe they had a fight like the, in the middle of, like it's late evening or early morning and it's just a vulnerable time, you're groggy, not quite awake, getting up, getting ready to go take a shower, and then some argument happens and somebody just leaves, and it's like, okay, this felt horrible. This is not like, just that's not the way this should end, especially if it was a night of passion or something, and then it's just, what happened to that? What happened to the passion? What happened to the love? This feels like there was a romantic night, a romantic date, and then late night coffee and stargazing and everything was beautiful. And then something about by the next morning, because it's kind of like early dawn, some argument, some fight. This looks very specific. But the bottom line is the angels are here to say, Capricorn, don't even get in your head about this. The other person's in their head about this. Maybe they don't know why they either freaked out or why they got triggered or why they got nervous or why they got shy or whatever this is. This is a big regret, though. And they are the ones having a conversation with squirrels right now, trying to explain to a squirrel, like, why did this happen? Sitting next to their tree of life. We've got a King of Swords, possibly a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, who I'm wondering if he kind of like freaked out or something. Didn't know what to say, got awkward and quiet. Maybe this is an awkward, like two people who started like, trying to date. Then things just kind of got weird. They didn't know what to say next. Once in a while, even if we want something, we want the other person to tell us that they can't wait to see us again. And when they don't, then we get awkward and we're like, that's it. And we just back away and leave. And now there's no plan for the future and there's no goodbye, but there's, it's like, okay, wait a second. We were having a great time. Everything was good. Then it got funky. I mean, what the heck just happened to the energy? How'd it go funky? I think the reason I'm saying he either clammed up or went into silent mode and he doesn't even know why he does that is because he's showing up as a King of Swords. And it could be that this is what happens when he feels a lot of emotions. This is somebody when they feel a lot of love, because this is the Ace of Cups, they don't know how to handle it. And they go into shutdown mode. This person could definitely be a Libra. Yeah, Knight of Wands. And now they don't know how to rebroach the subject, because I almost feel like this was a relationship, situationship thing that got off the ground and was like super intense, super exciting, super beautiful. There was so much passion. And I think then it was such a good time. And then it was almost like somebody just missed the mark of like the normal flow. It's like anxiety kicked in, they clammed up, they felt emotions. And when they feel emotions, that's when they kind of like back away from it. Maybe they try to not talk and use emotions when they feel them. Maybe that's when they turn to passion, like physical explanation of how they feel. Look, a King of Swords, sometimes we would think, well, they should be the best communicator, but sometimes they're the worst, because finding the words are up here, but there's too many of them and they don't know how to put them together. Or they try to use logic to handle emotion, and instead it bubbles over as like passion. But it's almost like we need a decoder ring to understand what it was they were feeling. So they were super into Capricorn, nuts about Capricorn, super attracted to Capricorn, feeling love vibes for Capricorn, and then clam up and don't know what to say. This is a person who could suck at giving presents. They could be exceptionally awkward at, for a birthday. They could be exceptionally awkward at telling somebody how they feel. They could be weird about how they hang up the phone. They could be weird about, when a date ends, or, when we're making, like, how do you appropriately, be like, all right, can't wait to see you again. I'll talk to you later on. I'm going to check in with you later. They may not know how to just flow those words off the tip of their tongue. This is something they would want to manifest being better at, but also they clearly have wanted to manifest being with Capricorn, but now they're like, oh my God, this was so weird. The way things ended, the way I walked away. It feels like we are describing like an episode of The Office or something, where it's like it ended so awkwardly and everybody involved knows it, that nobody quite knows what to do about it. They could, by the way, be a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, strong emphasis more on Libra, but also we have Virgo and Gemini coming in. Let's go back to the angel, because the angel is trying to give Capricorn some sense of peace and be like, listen, Cap, if Cap's feeling funky about this, trust me, so are they. In fact, they're getting a whole hell of a lot of discomfort. It's so funny because the angels here, the divine guidance for our Capricorn in this story is, sweetheart, listen to one's higher self. How did they behave? Did they get all funky and awkward? That's because it's a them issue. 3 of Swords. Knight of Cups. I think that there is some kind of acknowledgement that the way this thing was handled did not go well. But the angels are like, hey, listen, they know it didn't go well too. In fact, they might be sick to their stomach worrying, have they now botched it with Capricorn? Because in this storyline, they're crazy about Capricorn. And I think that they're sitting over here going, holy crap, I did it again. I just ruined a relationship, probably because I get so freaking awkward, and part of me wants to race back in and like kiss Capricorn, but that probably would make it worse because I still don't know how to say those words, the things that I got to figure out how to say. It feels like they are quietly working through their own stress around this. It feels like they are going to find a way to physically like display and basically come back in and make it all right, because we see the Knight of Cups right here. Like they will be coming in, but I'm wondering if they'll never be good with words. I'm wondering if this is going to be somebody who they may have to reapproach Capricorn like with flowers, with symbolic type of things. They may always be awkward when they hand a gift, but maybe this is them trying to turn that corner. it just kind of says that I think Capricorn already knows that this person has struggled. I mean, at first, I think Capricorn is just feeling like crappy about this whole thing and even kind of confused. And then the angels step in and go, wait a minute, Capricorn, come on now. This was exceptionally awkward. You read it, you know it. It's this person, they're aware that they made you feel awkward too. And they're the ones who got to come in and fix it. And you kind of already know that they're thinking about that because that was left hanging in the air. So what is the best advice for Capricorn right now then? If, when things get like, oh, that felt so uncomfortable. And it's like, yeah, that's because they made it uncomfortable. This wasn't Capricorn's doing. The best advice for Capricorn right now is to, instead of dwelling on the awkwardness of the way somebody exited or the end of a date or the like, okay, I thought we had something great started, or I thought we had passion. I thought we shared these sweet moments, but now I don't even know what to think about this. The universe is like, Capricorn, don't think about it. Go out and have a great day. Have the greatest weekend ever. Enjoy being in the sun, spend time with sweet little people in our lives, children, nieces, nephews, laugh, be a child. Sometimes it brings out the childlike side in us and we get really happy and we're really present when we're around, like, oh my gosh, being around kittens is really fun, being around children. And it just says Capricorn should be lighthearted right now. Don't dwell on this stress because honestly, Capricorn didn't make this awkward. The other person did. They're the ones who will have to come back with a truce, right? They're going to knock on the door, but it would be better if in a couple days or whenever this person shows back up, it would be better if Capricorn has been having a good time. They'll be in a softer energy. And when that person shows back up, I think it's less likely that there will be hostility and more awkwardness because the return of this person could be even more awkward unless we've been releasing the tension beforehand. It'll be easier to communicate about the awkward ending, or it's not even ending. It was an awkward, like end of a date or something like that. We got a 7 of Pentacles sideways. I think both Capricorn and this person will be able to air out like, God, that felt so weird. The way I was pretty stressed. And then I just decided, well, in a few days, I'll either hear from you or I won't. So I decided not to stress out about it. I feel like these two might be able to kind of ease the tension when they see each other again, mostly because I think Capricorn will not have been dwelling, making this thing feel worse inside. There's nothing worse than when we feel confused, kind of maybe a little bit hurt, maybe a little bit like, I don't get what just happened. I feel like the rug just got pulled out from under me. Everything was great. Now they're gone. I don't know. Do we have a fight? Are they not interested? I don't know how to read this. Let me focus on it. And the universe says, definitely don't focus on it. Definitely don't focus on it. Let it go out and have a good time. And when this, because these two will talk again in this storyline, the conversation will come back around and it'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't spend the last 24 hours. It may just be 24 hours since we have the sun card. I'm so glad I didn't spend the last 24 hours, obsessing over this, trying to read more into it, trying to get more upset over it. I'm glad I just let that go because when they do show back up, then it can be like, oh, honestly, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to see you the way we walked away from each other last time. But I was, I had such a nice time. And it might really be the icebreaker where, it's like, especially if they're bringing in some token of, I don't know how to do words, but I'm going to try to show you that I care, but sometimes I'm really awkward. I feel like that's what this person's trying to convey. And that also is hard to convey. Like, I get awkward. I know there's a very specific message, which is funny because tomorrow I'll be starting a very specific series throughout the weekend, but we have a 9 of Cups upright. I think everybody's going to feel so much relief though. I feel like for Capricorn and this person both, I think that this is, although this could have gone horribly, I think it doesn't. I think that these two actually wind up easing into each other's company and really, I think it's going to be really lovely. I think that there's a huge amount of relief coming in for these characters. I think it's beautiful. So, wow, that was like a situation that could have been really tough. And instead, we just diffused it, We didn't take it too personal. We didn't have our character, go off the rails and hyper focus on it. And it just seems like that really helped to de-stress the situation. And it also gave space for the fact that I think Capricorn, in this storyline, Capricorn is dealing with a person who is awkward. I say that with love. I'm an exceptionally awkward person. So I completely get that. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.